Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Set Lusting Bruce, your podcast all about Bruce Springsteen, his music, and mostly his fans. I am your host, Jesse Jackson. Joining me tonight is my new friend, Jack. Jack, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you very much.
Yeah, tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, so I live in central New Jersey, right outside of Princeton. I grew up on the Jersey Shore, right in the heart of Springsteen country. I spent a lot of time there, and I still get back there pretty regularly. Huge Springsteen fan, which I'm sure we'll spend most of our time talking about. Recently became semi-retired, so I'm only working 2 days a week now, which is an awesome thing. I highly recommend it to anybody, and
Yeah, that
kind of
sounds nice.
wish I did it 20 years ago.
That's nice. So, did growing up, I'm what kind of music was your family listening to?
That was a good question. It gave me some thought to go back and think about it. And I always
Yeah.
remember my mom singing some sort of a little tune or something like that. And she was raised in Oklahoma. So she always was singing some sort of a country song. Kenny Rogers, Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger were always folks that she was singing. I remember Neil Diamond being on the 8-track player from time to time. I mentioned she was from Oklahoma. My Oklahoma Home was always a song she was singing, which was on Seeger Sessions. And Froggy Goes a Courtin' was another one of my favorites. I remember when Seeger Sessions came out, it was like, I know that song.
That's part of my problem is my dad loved playing Froggy When a Courtin', and I made a joke that Bruce didn't sing it the way my dad did, so therefore I didn't like it because my dad's doing it the right way. And I was lucky enough, my second Bruce show was at a Devils and Dust show in Grand Prairie, and he did My Oklahoma Home.
Great.
So yeah, great song. Good. When did you like the music of your parents? Did you put up with it? What?
Probably put up with it. And I think at the time, this would be early mid 70s. And, rock and roll at that time was noise to your parents. And
Yeah.
why are you listening to this garbage and stuff like that? I got a lot of that from my parents. And I had a couple older sisters that had introduced me to rock and roll. And that was the music that I liked. Not too much of my parents' music that I care for. In later years, I came to enjoy it. And really, now I love all music and I can find something good in pretty much every genre of music. Stuff I never would have thought I would have listened to, I'm getting into again.
You know, what's interesting, Jack, is I talk a lot about that I find most of my guests fall into two categories. The ones that say I liked my parents' music, but as I grew up, I enjoyed more of the music. And then the others that say I could not stand my parents' music till I turned 30, and then I realized that Johnny Cash guy my dad
Right,
loved is pretty good.
right.
Yeah, I that's pretty cool. So, growing up there, can you remember when you discovered Bruce and what about him spoke to you?
Yeah. I don't recall the very first time that I ever heard his music, but
Okay.
very vividly, my older sister had an 8-track tape player in her car, and she had Born to Run, the album. And whenever I was with her, I'd have her put it on. But I also remember at night going and sitting out in her car in the driveway and putting on the Born to Run 8-track in her car just in the driveway and listening to it over and over again. And that was the connection with Bruce. And that would have been 50 years ago. And it
Yeah,
stayed with me literally 50 years ago. And it's stayed with me ever since.
I think that's interesting. It is one of the exciting fright of it. We're doing 50 years and when that album continues to speak to us, doesn't it? Yeah. So, talk to me a little bit more. What about can you explain why it spoke to you so much?
Sure,
Why you
sure.
wanted to go and do that?
I think a big part of it was obvious. I grew up in Monmouth County. Bruce was from the area next town over
Mm.
from where I was living at the time. And it was something that locally we took great pride in. So
Yeah.
he was big, but he wasn't megastar big just yet.
Yeah.
So, like, even a couple years later, when I went to college and people learned I grew up on the Jersey Shore, hey, you know this Bruce Springsteen guy? He's pretty good, and he was our guy. That was the
Yes.
when it was somebody that we were very proud of. New Jersey gets a lot of bad publicity, but the
Yeah.
one good thing that came out of New Jersey a long time ago was Bruce Springsteen. It was something being from our area that we were just incredibly proud of. So everybody, when I got to college, hey, do you know him? And blah blah blah, which obviously
Yeah.
no. But the fact that you were from the area in the Jersey Shore, you immediately got some street cred when it came to music.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I always like to preface that the amount of times you've seen Bruce perform live is not a fair barometer of how big of a fan you are. But are you someone that counts? And if so, how many?
I've started to keep track in recent years, and I went back and tried to come up with the list of how many times that I've seen him. And I know I'm not 100% accurate. There's some that are probably missing along the way, but I'm probably close to 30, which
Wow.
by a lot of numbers is fairly low.
Yeah.
Seven of which were in the 23-24 tour. I saw him 7 times
Hmm.
since he got back after COVID.
Did the talk to me a little bit about some of the shows you've gone to and seen?
First time I saw him, 1981, Hollywood Sportatorium outside of Miami, River Tour. Hollywood Sportatorium is the biggest dump of an arena that ever existed in
Okay.
of any concert. It was the first time that I saw him. Born in the USA, Giant Stadium. I saw him. When else did I see him? A bunch of the reunion tour shows at both the Meadowlands Arena, Giant Stadium, Madison Square Garden. I saw Tunnel of Love, Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
I saw him in Asbury Park at the convention center, I believe 2001 or two, in what he called the holiday shows or the Christmas shows.
Yeah. I've never, there's a lot of 'em I haven't done, but I hear that those were pretty special
Yeah,
shows. Talk to me a little bit about them.
sure. And I kind of stumbled into it that at
Okay.
the time I'm divorced. My kids were living in a town called Tinton Falls, which is right next to Asbury Park. It was a
Okay.
Sunday night. I didn't have a ticket, but I dropped my kids back at their mom's about 5 in the afternoon. And I said, I'm going to take a crack and go over to Asbury and see if I can get in. There's always a way. So
Yeah.
I remember grabbing a piece of cardboard out of my ex-wife's garage and making a little sign looking for one ticket. We'll pay a dollar, and walked up and down the line a couple of times and had a ticket in a couple minutes. And
Wow.
and
Cool.
I think I paid, I'm going to say I paid $150 for this ticket, which at that time I couldn't believe I was paying that much for a ticket. Seeing a show in convention hall, I likened it to if you got to see Bruce in your high school gymnasium, because if you've ever been in it, that's what it looks like. Probably seats about the same number of people. There's probably seating for about 1,000, and then they jam another couple thousand, another 1,000 or so onto the floor. Yeah, that was a special one. Atlantic City, I saw him in. I believe that was the Rising Tour, probably about 2002 or three. That was the toughest ticket to ever come across. There was just none to be had at any price. I paid a lot of money for that ticket, so that was a good
Yeah.
one. I got to see him on Broadway. That was a special experience. I'm glad I got to do that. And then in the most recent tour, my first night with was in Philly in the arena. And if I can go off on a tangent and kind of share a story, because it started with that. So when tickets for the tour went on sale, tickets for New York, New Jersey, crazy expensive. And I realized that I could buy a ticket for Greensboro, North Carolina, buy an airline ticket, fly down there, see the show in Greensboro for less money than if I went to see him at Madison Square Garden. So okay. So I bought tickets for Greensboro.
Yeah.
The day of the show in Philly, which was about 10 days prior, the morning of the show, I said to my wife, I said, I'm going to go see Bruce in Philly tonight. Jumped on StubHub, got a ticket in the upper deck, right along the front of the stage. Now, at this point, I had never been in the pit. And during the show, I found myself watching the people down in the pit quite a bit, just
Yeah.
watching how much fun they were having and the dancing and everything else. And I'd never been in the pit. And I said, I've got to do that. I've got to be in the
Hmm.
pit. So that night, as soon as I get home, I jump on StubHub again and I buy a pair of tickets for Greensboro in the pit. Now,
Wow.
my
Okay.
my son, or I'm sorry, my nephew lives in Virginia, was going to meet me in Greensboro. So let him know. I said, we got to get there early. I got tickets for the pit. So we get there the day of the show. We were about number 75 in line. We get in there. We're on the rail right in front of Steve. Okay. So that was my first experience ever being in the pit. I came to describe it as being in the pit feels like you're part of the show. It just, amazing experience. I'm a photographer as well, not a music photographer, but using my iPhone, I snapped a ton of photos that night, and we'll talk about kind of my connection with Springsteen, my photography, I'm sure. But when I walked out of there, I said, I can never sit in the stands again. I said, once you've done the pit once, you can't go back and sit in the stands. So then I had tickets for MetLife. And actually, I bought one for Philly up at Citizens Bank Park in 2023. That was the show that got canceled. I was there at the stadium the afternoon it was canceled. I remember number 34, so I would have been close. Didn't happen. Yeah.
You're sitting there, ah,
Yeah,
curses.
2 days later, I was in the line for 2 days. But
Hmm.
anyways, so MetLife won. I took my son. We were in the pit. MetLife two, the day of the show, I bought another ticket for the pit. So I was there right on the rail again for show two. Then last year in Syracuse, I took my wife, bought tickets for the pit. We were there, and Philly number one last year. Same thing. I have a whole group of what I call my Bruce family,
Yeah.
which are just different people that I've met throughout the years. We were all there together for the pit.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing 5 shows from the rail and did some level of photography at all of them. So it
Yeah.
was pretty
Yeah.
amazing experiences.
Yeah, that sounds like it. I know this is going to sound like a dumb question, but talk to me about what about what made the pit so different for you that you changed so much? What
Wow.
talk to me about that?
The energy of the other fans around you, you were surrounded by people that felt exactly like you did. A
Yeah.
little different than being in the stands where maybe the guy next to you is a big fan, but the people in front of you are
Yeah.
casual fans. Think it was the first time I ever realized that, hey, there's other people out there that are as passionate about this guy
Yeah.
and his music as I am.
Hmm.
And it was a party. You don't care that you're a lousy dancer or a lousy
Yeah.
singer. You don't care because everyone else is feeling the same way. And I made friends every time in the pit that are my friends today. And I
Yeah.
honestly feel now I could go to a Bruce show anywhere in the world and I'm going to know somebody there.
Wow. I don't have that feeling, but I do have the feeling that if I go to anywhere in the world, I'm going to make a new friend. I know that feeling. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you took your lovely bride. Is she a fan?
Historically, no, she
Okay.
wasn't. But we have a rule that whoever car we're driving in controls the radio. So
Yes, that's a
when
fair rule.
okay, so in my car it's on E Street Radio
Yeah.
100% of the time. So she started to warm to his music, and she started to recognize some of the more, not just the Born to Runs and Dancing in the
Yeah.
Dark, some of his other songs as well. And from time to time, she would say to me, "Oh, I've never heard this version of a song before. Maybe it's an old version
Yeah.
of whatever."
Yeah.
So she was coming around, and I broached the topic of her, would you come to Syracuse and do the pit thing with me?
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, I'll give it a try. And we got there the day before the show and went straight to the arena to get our numbers and figure out what the whole line process was. And it was the most miserable weather up there you could imagine. It was in April,
Oh no.
low 40s, spit and rain the entire time. She was a trooper throughout all of that, but I could tell she wasn't into
Yeah.
it. She enjoyed the show. Again, seeing the pit experience, and I think she learned a bit about why it's important to me.
Yeah.
So I think she was glad she did it, but not in a hurry to do it again.
I do remember that when you bring someone and then you're worried they're not having fun. You get into that.
Right.
Absolutely. And I could just see you like the weather and they're like, hang on there, hang on.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. But I had done one show with my nephew, the one down in Greensboro. He's a musician, grew up
yeah,
Jersey Shore, huge Bruce fan. It was
yeah.
a treat for him. He'll never forget. My son, who same thing, grew up Jersey Shore. I took him to one of the MetLife shows in the pit, and I remember the first time Bruce comes out to the front of the stage, and he's standing inches from him and just looking at like the bug-eyed look on my son's face. I know again that'll be something that'll stay with him forever. So I'm glad I got to do that with him.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I had a similar experience. The first time we saw Bruce was 2002, and my wife went with me, and it was the Rising tour. She knew no songs, and the truth is I didn't know that many either. But it was enough for me. Like, I'm hearing Bruce, I'm seeing. And at the end of the show, my wife said, were you happy? And I said, if he had walked out, done Born to Run and walked off, I would have been
Right,
happy.
right.
Yeah, I'm great. And in 2012, we were talking about doing a family trip, just her and I, because we'd always gone with another couple or the kid. And so we're like, what can we do? What can we do? And I said, hey, Bruce is touring. I said, so why don't we drive up to Cleveland? And we have a friend who lives in that area. We can stop in Kentucky, do the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. We'll make a whole trip
Right.
out of it. And so I got her Wrecking Ball and she listened to it on repeat. And so she knew more of the songs, right? We in the car driving up to Cleveland, we would take turns like listening to some music and then we'd listen to Bruce music and she would pull up on the lyrics on her phone and kind of watched. And so she's good for one show a tour.
Okay.
Like she's happy, she enjoys it, she has a blast, and then that's enough. And
Yeah.
her justification, and it's true, is you have just as much fun without me, and you can go to more shows if you don't have to buy two tickets. You can also get better tickets
Right.
because if you don't have to two.
Right.
And I'm like, yep, that's true. But she does every once in a while. Is he going to tour again? Because I'm getting an itch to go see him. So that's great.
Yeah. I think
That's
my wife's kind of the same way is
yeah,
go hang with your Bruce friends, with your Bruce family, have a good time.
yeah,
This kind of your thing. And even going to the serenade a couple weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, go have a good time.
yeah.
And I basically was gone for the weekend.
Yeah, it was interesting. She was driving me to the airport. I was flying in Saturday for the serenade, and she told me I would have gone. Really? So I'm kicking around next year, maybe having her go in and spend the weekend because it is a fun weekend. Just
Yeah.
everything from I was really sad I missed Jake's concert on Friday night. Hearing the cover band on Saturday night,
They
you
were
know,
incredible. They
oh,
were
that was, you
so
know,
good.
Jack, I ended up talking to the lead singer on Sunday, but I'm
Right.
like, we have a local cover band here in Dallas called Thunder Road, and they're a bunch of great guys, and they are all big Bruce fans. But like when I've talked to them, they're like, we have to make our set where we do 90% of the songs everyone knows, and
Sure.
we'll sneak one in like for the hardcore. And but this one and the guy, I can't remember his name, but he's yeah, when we're playing to the home crowd, we can play anything we want.
Anything. Right.
And it is some of the songs they did was amazing, wasn't it?
If that was a Bruce set list, that would go down as one of the greatest shows of all time.
Yeah, it was just hilarious. They were having so much fun,
Yeah.
and to have Howie join them was just great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even just becoming part of the Spring Nut group, and I consider myself fairly active in the group, has just heightened the entire Bruce
Yeah,
experience
I was gonna
a
ask.
1000%.
Yeah. How did you find Spring Nuts? Did you join?
I probably became aware of them probably 2018, 2019, not active at all, but I'd read the various posts.
Mhm.
And then when COVID came along and you're stuck at home and you're looking for any communication with anybody outside of your home, I started becoming more active online with the Spring Nut community. But what really hit it for me was, I think it was 20, would have been 2021. I'd gotten a ticket to see Springsteen on Broadway, and I just posted a message in the group, going to see Bruce on Broadway tonight. So excited.
Yeah.
Howie texts me back a few minutes later. Hey, a whole bunch of us are meeting up at Junior's for dinner before the show. Come join us.
Hmm.
Okay, so I was familiar with the restaurant. I didn't know any of them, but I kind of walk in, I'm looking around and I see a bunch of Springsteen shirts. So I figure, okay, this got to be the group, and kind of wander over and, hi, I'm Jack. And, oh, Jack, come on, come sit down. Let's make room for you. Wait, get him a plate,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And immediately you're surrounded by a bunch of friends. And that experience right there just nailed it for me, that everybody's friends. And even if you're at a show, somebody walks up to you who has another Spring Nut shirt, you stop, you say hello, you shake their hands, and you get another friend. And that, it's just one of the most amazing communities of people I have ever been involved with. The warmest hearts, the most generous, kind, loving people I've ever been exposed to.
Yeah. I told Howie, I said, there is a lot of crap out there on the internet. And I love that how he and the people who help moderate do their very best
Right.
to keep the crap to as low as it can. They do their best. And I just love that. I love that this train is welcome for everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah, and behave. And we're going to treat each other with love. We're going to treat each other with respect. And even someone like me who doesn't like Jungle Land is welcome.
It was welcome.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you get to do any of the stuff this past weekend for the at over at the Mammoth University?
I did not, and I kicked myself that I didn't. I've done that a couple of times. I wasn't at See Here Now last year either, and felt the same way. I just thought it would be such a nightmare trying to get in and out of Asbury Park and blah
Yeah.
blah. And was watching one of the streams, and 5 minutes into the show, I'm saying to myself, I should be there.
Idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
But no, I did not.
Yeah. So I feel the same way talking about it the same way I had friends who went to See Here Now and said, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to make you feel guilty. I'm like, no, I'm enjoying it through
Right.
you. But yeah, Friday night they did a small little film about the making of Jungle Land, and it was just amazing. And then hearing the roundtables where Bruce and all the people were talking about making the record, it was just something I felt very blessed I was there.
Right.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
I try to read and watch everything I can find on the books, the videos, YouTube, everything. And there's a lot of great old stuff out there if you just go looking for it.
Yeah. I know this is old news now, but you went to a lot of shows. What was your feeling about the somewhat static set list?
This last one, it didn't bother me. I understood he had a story to tell. There was each show that I was at, there'd be a couple of differences from show to
Yeah.
show. I went to Philly 1 and 2, which were back to back, and like the first 6 songs of the show were different. So that was never an issue for me.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about favorite albums or songs that mean a lot to you.
I get asked that question about what's your favorite song? I get that all the time. And I could give you
Sure.
5 today, but if you ask me tomorrow, I'll give you another 5. I actually jotted down a couple of notes, so I made sure
Oh,
that
please. Yeah.
I hit it.
Thanks.
The song that there's kind of 2 songs in tandem that have always been 2 of my favorites. And it brings me back to that kid growing up on the Jersey Shore. And
Yeah.
that's Girls in Their Summer Clothes and Seaside Bar Song.
I love, love, love that Girls in Their Summer Clothes. To me, it is his version of a Brian Wilson song.
Right.
It's just amazing.
When I did my piece for the Tramps Like Us movie and talking with Dave Barry,
Yeah.
I mentioned to him about growing up on the shore. Our lives were very much beaches and boardwalks and summer nights and fast cars and chasing after the pretty girls, which to me goes right back to that song. And Seaside Bar Song to me is the Jersey Shore was about, there's so many little, great little bars up and down the shore. Each of them always would have some band playing. And those are some of my fondest memories of growing up in the area.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. So, how about albums? You talked obviously about Born to Run.
Right.
Once you started discovering it, what order did you go? Did you go through chronological or just whatever you could find?
That's a good question. I think I probably went backwards,
Okay.
and Darkness on the Edge of Town. I remember when that came out as well, like 78, I think it was.
Yeah.
Great album, loved it. It took me a little bit of time to kind of warm to Greetings.
Yeah.
But then when like The River came out, was just an amazing album. Nebraska was hard to wrap my head around at the time. And I remember just happening to be in the record shop one day and seeing Nebraska on the shelf, and there'd been no promotion about it. So, oh, here's the Springsteen album. And
Yeah.
I bought it and took it home. First song was, ooh, that's a little strange. That doesn't sound like what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Next song, kind of the same thing. And it just wasn't what I was expecting. And for a long time, I really didn't care for it, but it has become one of my absolute favorites now. And understanding what was going on with him at the time and really understanding the lyrics of the song, what an amazing album. So I'm really excited to see the Electric Nebraska that we're going to hear shortly.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Give me your thoughts on that.
I guess there's always been rumors of it
Yeah.
for some time. And he's done some electric versions of some of the songs over the years. Like Open All
Sure.
Night is on Nebraska. Go back and listen to that song. I think he might have done it with the Seeger sessions. Great,
Yeah.
great, not a cover, but great version of that song. That was,
Yeah. And what are your feelings on the movie coming out?
can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
The trailers look fantastic. I had read the book. I thought the book was great. The reviews that I've read of those who've seen it say it's Academy Award caliber. So
Yeah. That
it's got a lot to live up to Tramps Like Us. Let's say
Yeah, it does.
that.
Yeah. Were you there that night? Did you get
I
to see
was.
it?
Yep, I was. It's something I'm very proud of. And a lot of my photos, Dave used a lot of my photos in the movie, which was as exciting for me to see as actually being in the film itself.
Talk about how you became interested in photography.
I've been at it now about 25 years, and I always liked photographs. I could
Okay.
go to my grandparents' house and just pull out the old family photo albums, not knowing any of these people, and just sit there and love pictures. Heck, you could give me your family photo albums and leave me alone for the next couple hours, and I'll be in heaven.
Okay.
So, anyways, when my kids were younger, they had started to get into sports. And it was right around the time that digital photography was beginning to become mainstream and affordable. So I said, oh, yeah, I
Okay.
want to get into photography, thinking I'm going to take Sports Illustrated quality pictures of my kids playing ice hockey.
Okay.
Obviously, that didn't quite pan out as I expected. Messed around with it for a few years, wasn't getting any better. Decided, yeah, I better take some lessons and so on. But I spent about 15 years, what I describe as taking crappy pictures with an expensive camera and calling myself a good photographer, but I really wasn't.
Okay.
About 8 years ago, I said, if I really go all in with photography, let's see what I can do. And it was more the artistic side of photography that I needed to hone my skills on. I'm always felt I was like the least artistic person out there. The last art class I had was in 8th grade. I passed by the skin of my teeth.
Okay.
But I really started paying attention to the kind of the art of photography. And I played around with a few different genres. I was spending a lot of time in New York City doing kind of the classic architecture shots, Empire State Building, stuff like that,
Okay.
but trying to do them in a way that you had never seen before. So I always said, you want a great picture of the Empire State Building, go into the gift shop and buy a postcard. but
Okay.
I'm going to try and give you something you've never seen before. So
Nice.
I've got quite a few that I've had a lot of people say I've never seen that shot before, and I
Hmm.
did that kind of again up until COVID. COVID comes along, and I'm not getting on a train to go to New York. I'm certainly not getting on a subway.
Yeah.
Started to get into other things. As we started to come out of COVID, the first things that opened up were parks, right? You could go to the park. It was in the springtime, flowers were in bloom, and I started taking pictures of flowers of all things. And I spent about a year taking flower photos. I self-published a book that I call Flowers in Isolation, which was
Hmm.
my experiences of doing flowers. That kind of, again, same with the nature stuff, got me into photographing birds. And then one day I'm at a local park that's literally within walking distance from my house, and about a quarter mile away, up in a tree, is almost dark, overcast. I see these two black blobs way up in a tree, which I thought were like turkey vultures or something. For whatever
Yeah.
reason, I snap a picture of them. I get home and I realize they're bald eagles.
Wow.
So literally within walking distance of my house, I get a pair of bald eagles. In that moment, I knew this is what I wanted to photograph. So that was 4 years ago.
Hmm.
And so for 4 years, I've been literally chronicling these bald eagles' lives. There's another pair that has moved into my area as well. So I actually have two pairs, and I'm out there not every day, but probably a good 4 or 5 times a week going to check on them and photographing them. That kind of led me to become a volunteer with New Jersey Fish and Wildlife as a nest monitor, keeping an eye on the eagles. If you ask me what kind of photographer I am now, I say I'm a nature photographer specializing in bald eagles.
Very cool. I would
Yeah.
love to see some examples of your work. So if you don't
Sure,
mind,
sure,
yeah,
sure,
send them to me.
sure.
That's wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'd always wanted to do some like concert photography. It's a tough thing to get into. You just can't
Yeah.
show up and say, hey, most places won't let you bring a good camera in. So part of being in the pit for the shows last year, or last year, 2 years ago, was it gave me my first opportunity to actually take some decent photos. And even with an iPhone, you'd be amazed at what you can do with an iPhone. All of the photos that I passed on to Dave, I gave him about 100 pictures that I had taken. Everything was with an iPhone.
Wow. That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
When what do you look for when you're looking to do these photos? Talk to me a little bit about what you want to see or what you're trying to do.
It starts with beautiful light.
Okay?
So if I'm outside, I'm going to be out there bright and early in the morning when you get golden light, or I'm going to be there right before sunset
Yeah.
when you have beautiful light, not at noon.
Okay.
So it starts with that. Again, I'm going to try and look for something different. And I'll use the example of bald eagles. I have hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures of a bald eagle sitting on a branch. I don't need to take any more pictures of a bald eagle sitting on a branch. I
Yeah.
have hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures of eagles flying across a bald blue sky. I don't
Yeah.
need any more of those. What
Okay.
I'm looking for is the interaction, the action. If I have two birds together, and I have two nesting pairs that I follow, so you get some emotional shots. These birds cuddling in the snow. I get pictures of them trying to stay warm together, things like that, or adversarial shots. Two birds fighting. The action shots. Those are the ones that I want. They're few and far between. I might only get a couple a year, but that's what keeps me out there day after
Hmm.
day, getting up, being out in the field at sunrise with the hopes
Hmm.
that today's the day that the magic's going to happen. And there's been many days where I'll sit and watch an eagle fast. I know he's fast asleep for 3 hours, 4 hours, waiting him to do something, because you never know if 1 second from now he doesn't do some spectacular thing, and hopefully
Hmm.
I'm able to capture it.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this past summer and kind of the political thought that he took?
A little heavy handed.
Okay.
I respect his views, not too dissimilar than my own. And then with Trump coming back at him, I felt that both of them were a little out of line.
Okay.
It almost, to me, it was two bullies out on the playground that
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you up. No, I'm going to beat you up. And maybe I was a little disappointed, and Bruce didn't take a little higher ground
Okay.
in it. But I do, but my views generally are aligned with
Yeah.
his.
Yeah.
It
Have you
was a tough situation.
Yeah, and I know that there were some people were uncomfortable. I think I think he's gonna say he's got to do what he thinks is the right thing to do. And yeah, I get that. Any thoughts on the new box set, tracks 2?
I like it. I listened to it on I guess it's Prime Music, which
Yeah.
doesn't have it broken up by album. So literally you just start at the beginning and kind of work its way
Yeah.
through. So I'm not always quite certain exactly what song goes on
Yeah,
what
yeah,
album.
I get that. Yes, I yeah. I have
Um
the box set, but sometimes like at work I just put on Spotify. It's they're all just on one thing. So yeah.
the what is it, the 83 garage set, I think it's referred to,
Yeah.
is probably my one of my favorites from that. The song County Fair is in there. I think it's a fantastic song. And again, that was, I keep coming back to it, is brings me back to my youth. He's talking about the Monmouth County Fair, which is something that I went to every year. And the way he described it was exactly how
Yeah.
it was. And
Hmm.
it still exists to this day. It's a pretty big deal in Freehold, the Monmouth County Fair.
Yeah, that's
Great
awesome.
song.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs. I love that. Just it is just the simple joy. And for those of us who grew up in a small town, you do remember this. There's so much remembering of that and brought that back. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Yeah, the summer fairs is just, I don't know. They always just brought me back to my youth, even to walk through it today. No, I'm not going on the rides, but
Yeah.
you eat some deep fried something at it,
Yes.
and you buy your wife and kids an ice cream cone and just walk through it, and you see the amazement of the little kids and taking my grandkids on the rides and
Yeah.
stuff like that is a pretty
Yeah.
special thing.
Is there anything Are there songs you're chasing, Jack? Are there songs that you haven't got to hear live that you want to, still want to?
The song I really want to hear is Thundercrack.
Yeah, I would love that too.
I saw the set list from that show that I saw in Asbury Park, and it was on the set list. I have no recollection of hearing it.
Yeah,
So that would be one too that I would definitely want to hear. There Goes My Miracle off of Western Stars.
yeah,
The first time I heard that, I was actually in the theater. Remember, he put out a movie around Western Stars, so I heard it for the first time in the movie theater, and literally first time tears streaming down my eyes. That's the most beautiful song I've ever heard in my life.
yeah,
So that would be one. The third one that I jotted down was County Fair. I would love to hear that one.
yeah. I think that's a great choice.
Yeah.
That's good.
One other cover that I've heard that I would love to hear is he did a cover of Elvis Burn in Love, which I think is fantastic. So that would
Yeah,
be another one that I wouldn't mind hearing someday.
yeah. My cover is that I want to hear is the Jolie Blanc because I just love that song. And partly because I went to school in Louisiana.
Okay.
And the McNeese State University, their fight song is Jolie Blanc.
Okay.
And the band's version sounds nothing like Bruce's version, but that's something that just I love hearing.
He
Yeah.
did that once this tour. I know he covered something Joey
Yes,
songs.
he
Was it
did.
Joey
Yes.
Blanc?
Yes, he did. And I was like, "Oh man, I can't believe it."
Yeah.
So that's cool. Because there's some songs like I'm never getting Lion's Den,
Right.
that's not gonna happen. But yeah, that's pretty cool. What do you think he's gonna do next?
That's a good question. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't do some sort of a solo Devils and Dust
Yeah,
thing again, go out on the road. I always thought that I could see him taking the Springsteen on Broadway on the road,
yeah,
where he did the residency in New York for all those years, but to do a week in Philly, a week in Washington, nights in Atlanta, and take something like that on the road, that
yeah,
could work. Let's hope there's another Big East album
yeah,
and it can't be over.
yeah. I wanted I would have thought he might have gone to West End there in London, their big theater, their
Sure,
version of Broadway,
sure,
and do that. Have a do a residency there for 6 months. Him and Patty could live in London and enjoy that. I I would love another solo tour
right.
of like Devils and Dust or something, but it's always so much fun. It's always so much fun. Yeah.
But let's
What?
hope it's not. Let's hope the full band, everything isn't over just yet. But who
Yeah.
knows? It's going to be what 76 next week.
Yeah,
How much longer can it
exactly.
go on for?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Any other stories that I haven't asked you about that maybe adventures with some of your Bruce family? Anything else I haven't remembered to ask?
Yeah, I'll ask. I'll share the kind of the second half of the photography story with
Please.
Tramps Like Us. So I guess it was about April of this year. By this point, I had sent Dave a whole bunch of photos that he was going to use. And then in about April, he calls me and says, Jack, I got a favor to ask of you. And the conversation kind of went like this. I know a guy who knows a guy who knew somebody whose brother was the assistant for a photographer back in the 70s and apparently has a lot of Bruce stuff, says we can use it in the movie. Okay, the guy's name is Dave, and here's his phone number.
Hmm.
You mind giving him a call? I'm not that far from Philly. He says maybe you can go see what he has
Yeah.
and see if you can do anything with it. Sure. So I call this guy. The message hadn't gotten to this guy
Yeah.
that somebody from the movie might be calling
Here's some
him.
random guy calling.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah, literally, that's what it was. Hi, my name's Jack, and I got your name from Dave Barry, and blah blah. But after a few minutes, he began to put it together. Yeah, this is legit, and I sounded like I guess a pretty okay guy. And he says, "Sure,
Yeah.
come on down. We'll arrange a day for you to come down and see what I have. You can go through what I've got." So it took us about a month to coordinate a date. And he lived just outside of Philly. I took a ride down. And Jesse, walking into his house, I literally felt like I was walking into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And I'm not exaggerating. Literally, every wall was covered with high end Springsteen memorabilia, like serious pieces. Example, on the coffee table is a guitar signed by every member of the band, including Clarence and Danny, just
Wow.
sitting on the coffee table. So I'm fawning over this.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, you like it? Take it with you. You can show your friends." Literally didn't know.
No.
So he's just got boxes of pictures and albums and the old negative sleeves everywhere. And he just keeps handing me stuff. Here, go through this, go through that. Well, take this. No,
Yeah.
you don't need that. So I literally walked out of there with boxes, like crates and crates of stuff that I got home and started sorting through it. There were about 100 original 8x10 prints that I want to say, including many behind the scenes, casual and formal type stuff from
Wow.
about 74 to about 1990. River, born in the USA, about 80, and probably 500 4x6s with negatives.
Mm.
And he gave me all of this stuff. I scanned all of the 8x10s and then did a full photo restoration using some of the Photoshop type tools to bring them
Yeah.
up to time is unkind to photos. And
Sure.
in they weren't stored in the greatest of manners. So we restored all of those. I sent all of those down to Dave, and a lot of those were used. A lot of the early stuff that you saw in the movies was stuff that I'd gotten from this guy, and then did the full restoration on it. So that was cool. But just seeing this guy's house and the stuff that he had it was like walking into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that was cool, and it was nice
That's
to be able to help out in the movie as well.
Yeah, I just love Dave. I just think he's a great guy, and I love his purpose. I love what he's trying to do, and I just was so happy after I saw the film, and just it captures us.
Yep. It
It,
was interesting watching the people in the theater. Nobody got up, nobody said a sound. Every one of us was literally hanging on every sentence
yes,
in the movie. And I think that silence that we all showed speaks to just how special it was to all of us.
Yeah, Jack, Diego is a musician that's been on the podcast a couple times. And when he heard I was coming for Serenade, he said, "Hey, I know you're busy, but is there any way we can meet? I just want to meet you in person." And on Sunday morning, I texted him and I said, "I'm so sorry. The yesterday was just crazy." I said, "But are you doing anything tonight? Because I have an extra ticket for a movie." And "I'm there." And so he meets me at Monmouth and we visit and talk. And he said, "By the way, what are we watching?" And I said, "It's a fan film." I said, "Not to be cruel, but it's like Springsteen and I, but better." He goes, "Oh, okay." We go in when the film starts, and I hear a couple of times and so it ends, and he's, "Wow, I walked in knowing nothing." He said, "I didn't think it was possible for someone to capture what fandom felt like." And he did. And so I was able to tell Dave that. And Dave was like, "That's really nice,"
Yeah,
because even though he's a fan, he did not go in with he had no expectations. So that's pretty cool. Yeah,
yeah.
it's very nice.
I'm like very excited to see what's next for the movie.
Yeah, me too.
I
I'm really hoping for good success.
yeah,
And I'm excited about the Electric Nebraska and the Delivery from Nowhere book movie. I agree with you. I thought the book was genius. It was just pretty special. It's good.
yeah.
So, any final thoughts before I get to the Mary question?
No, I'm ready for that one.
Okay.
No, I think I've pretty much covered
Okay.
everything. I appreciate your time, and
No, this
you know,
was a blast.
being part of the Bruce family has been a pretty special thing to be part of. Something I'm really proud of.
And thank you. And someone was really nice. They posted on Facebook, "Thank you for capturing our stories, Jesse." And I was so honored by that because, yeah, that's my purpose. That's what I want to do is I want to capture them. Great. All right, Jack. Jay Armstrong is a retired honors English teacher, but when he was teaching, he would give his students the lyrics to Thunder Road, and he would ask them, they would read it. If it was a poem, they would discuss the themes that Bruce explores. And then he would ask his class at the end of the session, "Do you think Mary gets in the car?" So, Jack, that is your question. Does Mary get in the car at the end of Thunder Road?
I'm gonna say yes because there's magic in the night.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. Jack, if someone wants to reach you, what's the best way?
Probably through my photography website, jaxpropix.com, Jack's Pro Pics.
Okay.
On Instagram, same thing,
Okay.
Jack's Pro Pics.
Sounds good. My friend, thank you so much.
I really
I
enjoyed this. Thank you for having
Well,
me.
glad you were here. I look forward to I'm going to check out some of your photography and I will include the link to the website in the show
Sure,
notes. And thank you so much and hopefully we can meet at a show sometime.
I'm sure we will.
All right,
All right, be
listeners, go check out the website, check out his Instagram system, follow him. Be safe, be kind, and we'll talk to you soon.
okay.
Goodbye.
All right.